Just go, man.
Tinkling, sprinkle,
Alright, so today I got a speech about photography. Just a quick informative speech. I don't know if any of you have much experience in photography. You ever take photography classes? So I'm just going to talk real quick about the types of cameras you use, kind of the effects and settings on cameras. If any of you ever use an SLR, you see all the aperture, ISO settings, all that stuff. So you kind of know what exactly they do. And then also about kind of after effects of like how you can go in and edit the photos once you've taken them, and then also about publishing photos. So I don't know if any of you ever go out and you get your photos made out, blown up into posters or anything like that, but just kind of the steps for doing that. You have like two basic types of cameras. You've got point and shoot, which can also include your cell phone cameras. Those like some of them today are getting like 15 megapixel cameras that you can get, about a $400 would be kind of top of the line for point and shoot, and you can see some real nice Nikons, but it also includes little Canon handheld stuff. But some of the point and shoots look like SLRs, which are the ones. Well, the camera right there is an SLR. It has a detachable lens. You can put on a bigger lens on it, so it's a little bit more complicated. The point and shoots are pretty good today. You can shoot HD video with them. They're up 15 megapixels, pretty large. So then the other type is single lens reflex. That's SLR. Today those are digital SLRs is what you use mostly. And those ones have detachable lenses. You can put different telescoping zooms on them, a lot of different attachments. You have microphone attachments, and the DSLRs today, you can also record video, which I'm doing right now with them. And some of them record HD video, which is actually, like, you'd be surprised, it's movie quality video that you're recording with it. So it's pretty good, impressive technology. When you're taking a picture, there's a few things that you want to kind of focus on. You have aperture, which is when the camera's looking through the receiver on it, you have like a hole in it, and you can increase and decrease the aperture size. So the size of the aperture increases how much light comes through it. So then you also have, it's also related to your shutter speed settings, which is how long the camera is open before it closes back up. So like if you have a long shutter speed, and somebody's moving in front of you, like say it's a motion picture and it's running, and you have a long shutter speed, it's going to be a real blurry picture because that camera is taking that picture, for a quarter, half second. It could take even for, 20 seconds or several minutes, depending on what kind of photography you're doing. So usually if you're doing like sport and action photos, you want real quick shutter speed. Having it open longer, what that does is it allows more light to come into the camera. So if you're shooting in a dark setting, like say, you're into shooting stars, photography of stars in the sky, you'd want a real long shutter speed because that's bringing in more light. And you can also get more light by having a larger aperture. And the aperture, when you have a bigger hole that opens up, it allows more light to come into the receiver. So then you could have two different ways of getting more light in. You'd want the shutter speed to be quick, so you'd use large aperture on an action photo at night. But if you're shooting something where there's not a lot of action, you'd be good just having a small aperture, because when you get a bigger aperture, the bigger hole, you also get a lot more noise in, and that's where you see kind of the fuzziness in a picture. You also have different zooms on it. If you want to using a telephoto lens, you use a high zoom. Again, if you have like a high zoom, you get a little bit more noise on it. It doesn't take as clear of a picture. After you've taken the picture, you usually go into your After Effects. You can use Adobe Photoshop, it's a real common one. There's Adobe Lightroom. Macromedia makes Fireworks. They're owned by Adobe now, but they still use Fireworks and a few other programs that you can use to edit the photos. And some of those, what you can do is, if you ever get the red eye and the camera, the camera doesn't take it out, some of the ones today do. You can go through and edit that. A lot of people go through, they darken the sky, or they'll edit the sky to make it a little bit brighter, so it looks, a little bit more effect to the photo. You can do a lot of other things with them too. There's just a lot of programs out there, and really got to go through and just kind of experiment with it. Last step usually with it is publishing, and it's kind of surprising. You can go to Walmart and get your, real small, pictures. Obviously, you can go get those anywhere, but you can also get, a pretty large 20 by 30 inch poster at Walmart. It's like $10. You can do it online. There's Shutterfly.com. There's a dozen websites out there. You can also get canvassing done, which is where it's like, if you ever go into like an art exhibit, or you know, if your high school or your school ever has it, you know how it's kind of a canvas that wraps around. Well, you can get your photos printed out on that. It's usually a little bit more, like $70–80, but you can get a large canvas printed off on that, and those are, you know, a little bit more artistic effect. But whenever you go in to get your photography done, it's just one of the nice things you kind of do to show off your photography work. So that's my speech about photography. So you got your DSLRs and your point and shoot cameras. Those are just the two basic types. You have your different settings, the ISO as well, which I guess I didn't really mention about. That's how your camera reacts to the light as it comes in. But then there's also aperture, which is the size of the hole, and then the shutter speed, which is the duration that the camera's taking the picture. You have your After Effects editing programs like Adobe Photoshop, and then you also have your publishing. Anybody got any questions?
Does anybody still use film anymore for any specific reason?
Actually, like 35mm cameras are actually becoming more popular today. I've read a few articles about that. A lot of photographers, they've been switching to all the DSLRs. So the people that are raised on photography today, they don't actually know how to publish their own photos, you know, go into a darkroom and publish them by themselves. So that's actually become more popular with photographers. It's kind of like going back and learning how it was originally done and then doing it themselves. Anything else? Good.